Welcome to the Integration Station. I'm Naturally Ashley, your host, here to guide you down the rabbit hole into the world of psychoactive plants, frogs, and fungi. Hello and good morning. Welcome to the Integration Station. I am Naturally Ashley, your host. And today I have a special surprise for you guys. Actually, over the next couple weeks, I'm going to be sharing 3 interviews each week, leading up to a final interview where one of our network members actually interviews myself, Ashley Michaud. So for today, our 3 interviews are Psychedelic Healing and Shamanism with James, the Grateful Shaman, Heart-Opening Teachings from Cacao with Judy Machado, and Embracing Your Light Through Psychedelic Integration with Jacqui. These are 3 really special guests. Next week we'll have 3 more, and then on the following week it'll be where Aid, our member, interviews myself. So I'm really excited to get this series out for you. Let's dive right in and get started because, James, Judy, Jacqui, these are amazing guests. I'm so excited for you guys. Let's get going, rolling.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
The opinions of the individuals during this broadcast are their own, and may not be the opinions of their group or other organizations they may be involved with. All medical advice during our broadcast is not a medical opinion and should be checked with your medical physician.
Hello and welcome back, you beautiful souls. I'm Ashley, your host, as you know, and I've got a special friend here today. This is, sorry, my phone's going off. That was inappropriate. My special guest today, who does not need any interruptions, but a great introduction, is the Grateful Shaman, James Hin. And, we have been in contact for a long time now, just following each other's journey, mutual referrals because you're doing retreats and integration work, and I'm very much in the same kind of space when it comes to integration and coaching. So, we just had a lot in common, and I wanted to have him on here just to share a bit of what retreats look like and talk about psychedelics, talk about the frogs and the fungi and the plant medicines that are out there. So, without further ado, I'll pass over to James and he can introduce himself, and then we'll, of course, dig into some fun stuff along the way.
Sweet. Thank you, Ashley. Such an honor to be here. Thank you for asking me to join. Yeah, we've been in contact for a while now, and it's been great, like just the mutual connections and the network that you're building. So I'm really happy to be part of it. So I'm James Hin. I'm founder of the Grateful Shaman Company, and we are doing retreats and one-on-one sessions and lots of other great stuff here in Oregon, in Eugene, Oregon. Going to be building a retreat center and all that good stuff. So really happy to be here to talk about all that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's such a pleasure because you're integrating, being an integration coach and doing these kinds of things. You're actually integrating a lot of different modalities, and what you're doing in itself is very unique. And from my understanding is that in these retreats, you're bringing everything in, but at the same time, when you're working one-on-one with somebody or in the coaching, they can, utilize different modalities depending on who they are. So I think that's really powerful. Can you share a little bit about what some of these modalities are that you're working with?
Yeah, so what I learned, we were doing ceremony, just one-night ceremonies, and I had been a part of many of those types of things where, whether it's, a few nights ayahuasca retreats or kind of just like really focus on the medicine ceremony. But what I found was that I would go to these experiences and go back to my life and it would kind of wear off, like, oh, well, what happened? I was feeling great and now I'm feeling depressed again. And I realized that integration was the missing piece. And really, I think integration, if you're working with plant or fungi or animal medicines, and any of these medicines, integration is like 50% of it, or maybe more. The medicine is incredibly effective at helping you get through trauma and break out of depression very quickly, or intensely. But if you don't carry that work forward, then it can actually have a detrimental effect, is what I found in my experience. So some of the things that the reason I went and added to the whole retreat weekend is to blend. I have a background in training and development, and so I kind of brought in that like action planning type aspect from the business world into the psychedelic healing space. And so we do sound healing, sound baths, and other things like that. We work with different types of medicines, psychedelic or not, like hape or rape, sananga, kambo, and then the various medicines. But on the Saturday during the day, we focus on, we have a long workshop on like action planning. All right, what's your intention for this weekend, for this experience, for the medicine? What questions do you have? What things are coming up for you? And then creating a plan for how you're going to integrate that back into your life, because it's great to come for the weekend and everything's, you have no responsibilities. We take your phone, so you have no distractions, and you're back to being like human, your base human self and connected. But when you go back to the world, everything can come crashing right in on you. So creating a plan for how you're going to integrate, how you're going to deal with things that come up, what you're going to do, what your new routines will be, I found is like exponentially better, and it really helps the healing, help you keep the momentum of the healing going for much longer.
Yeah, absolutely. I published a book earlier this year, Rebirth, that talked a bit about the integration process, because I noticed the same thing in my own journey and just working with clients. It was like they'll go to retreats, even like business retreats, people who would do like Tony Robbins or anything. It's the same thing, psychedelics or, any of those other types of, events or workshops or boot camps that you go to. Once you get back, it's like, okay, now what? You leave prison, now what? You leave the military, now what? It's like there's the integration piece is so important, and I really related it back to birth, and that it's a choice to work with psychedelics. That's a rebirth process, but it's still the same thing. Everybody puts a lot of stock in the experience that lasts 6 hours, with ayahuasca obviously longer, but mushrooms 6 hours. And birth is the same thing. It's, the generalized labor is 6 hours, and there's so much stock put into that. But what about the years of breastfeeding and the years of, raising that child? We got to rebirth ourselves too. And that means re-raising ourselves, reparenting, relearning. It's so much work. I really love that you brought this aspect in, that you're one of the people talking about it, because not so many people are. It's becoming more normalized. People are seeing the benefits of it. But you're doing retreats and really including this. And I think that's pretty rare these days. I'm happy to see that you're really doing that. I want to hear a little bit more about shamanic healing. Like, what's this journey been like for you, and how is it that you're working it into the retreats as well?
Yeah, for sure. And to touch on one thing you said previously, I heard someone who I respect greatly talking about ceremonies and integration, and they said, there's just no money in integration, and that's like a big part of why it's not part. Great to have. Oh yeah, there's Alice. It's great to have a huge ceremony and make money off of it, but then the integration afterwards can really, it's not a lot of people can afford to pay a therapist or integration coach with, or whatever. So I think creating community, right? It's like last night we had an integration group. There's 14 people there, 15 including me, and so having that community support is so important, and that's how we evolved. Almost all of our history, we were in shamanic communities that support each other with birth. Like the birth mother would, have a baby and then needed rest. So there would be other women in the community that would breastfeed the baby, right? Because they would help. It would have a whole community. It takes a village, right? And so that's going into the shamanic aspect of it. that's what I found is like maybe the missing piece, is that shamanic community. And so when I was way back in undergrad, I was taking a medical anthropology class, and I was, of course, right when we start, he just wants to keep jumping on. I was in a medical anthropology class, and I was like militant Richard Dawkins, militant atheist. Like, I didn't want to hear anything about spirituality or religion, right? And this woman walks in. She was a shaman. And before she became a shaman, or before she knew she was a shaman, she was an astrophysicist. And I was like, oh, okay,
really cool.
I'll listen to you,
Yeah.
And so she said that, she realized that she needed that training in this life to be able to like buy into the shamanic state of consciousness and the healing modalities, etc. And so that really had a huge impact on me. And I went and saw her, and I had a session with her, and it profoundly affected me. And it wasn't for a few years until I actually started practicing. But once I started practicing the shamanic journey work, I realized, like, that's some of the most powerful experiences that I've had. No medicine at all. And many cultures around the world use the drum or the rattle to go into that altered state of consciousness. And it was actually like minority were using psychedelics. And so that really piqued my interest too. It's like, how can you get into like an altered state of consciousness with just a drum? And I started studying Michael Harner's work, The Way of the Shaman, and then watching, some YouTube videos with him. And the way I've integrated it is every one-on-one session I do, we start with shamanic journey. And so we'll do, we'll open up the 4 directions, and we'll do, the different sage and herbs and things, do a little breath work. And then I'll go into the shamanic state of consciousness and bring back whatever message, whatever intention that we need for the session. And I found that in the sessions that I do that, at first I wasn't doing it because I was like, oh, well, they're just interested in mushrooms. They're not like buying into the shamanic side. But once I started integrating together, it would give us like a really great, intention and like path for the session. To unfold, and it would we do spirit animal retrievals and soul retrievals and things like that, and so blending the shamanic work with the psilocybin or with whatever medicine we're using, I think is really important, because we can't ignore the energetic side of that. We can't ignore the deep shamanic history of these medicines being used and shamanism as a healing modality.
Yeah, I love that. You remind me, I was just in powwow not too long ago, camping for the weekend, and it was amazing. And the words that were used was like healing and journey and all of these things that are so much used in the psychedelic space too, that at some points I was getting confused, and I'm like, are they working with like the same medicine that we are? But it wasn't. It was all sound and dance and stories, and it's so powerful to know that you can get into those states just that same way. It's like heart opening, and once that heart's open, the soul can start talking to that ego, and they can come to like this mutual understanding and start working as a team to help you do your work that's yours to do. It's both a ceremonial and healing too, but it's also very integrative. Like, it helps you integrate your soul and your ego together, which is kind of what we want out of the experience anyway. And I wanted to hear a little bit more about sound healing and sound bathing and this stuff that you were doing here. I mean, you got the sound bowls behind you, so
that's a few of them. Sound. I'll tell you what, sound caught me off guard. It surprised me. So I, in my ventures moving up to Oregon from California, on my way up, I hit a sound bath in Joshua Tree, right outside Joshua Tree. And I walked in the room and, laid down and talked to the facilitator, and he played, an hour sound bath. And I was like I had done plenty of psychedelics at that point, and other shamanic work and journey work and meditation, and there was something about like the way that the sounds affected my thoughts and what I was experiencing that just struck me in such a profound way. And so I asked him, I was like, hey, how did you learn this? And he's like, oh, I just bought bowls and started playing. And I was like, oh, that's totally my style. Like, I'm doing it, right? So I bought bowls and I shipped them to Oregon even before I got up here. And when I arrived, they were sitting on my porch. And I just set up a meetup and started playing sound baths every week for the community. And that's grown into, I think there's 400 community members there. And we do it every Wednesday. And we've actually had the other sound baths branch off of it. Each sound bath, so we use these crystal bowls, Tibetan bowls. So crystal bowls have not been around as long, but Tibetan bowls have been around for thousands of years or more. And if you think about, again, going back to shamanic community, we regularly gathered in groups around song and dance and sound and rhythm and different things. And look at all the shamanic cultures around the world. There's, rattles and drums. What I love most about sound bath is I've heard everything from it's helped me sleep, to it healed my pain, to, I've had a psychedelic experience during it. And what I love about it most is each one is different. You could have the same people in there the next day, and it's different because it's different people's energies. It's different what they ate that day, how they slept, what's going on in their mind. When you play sound for a group of people laying around, we play off of that energy. And so you'll feel it in the room, oh, you know what, we need to do some lower level chakra bowls, and doing some of the deeper sounds. Or sometimes we'll keep it really elevated with the higher consciousness bowls and the third eye tuned or crown chakra bowls. And it's amazing what how that changes the energy of the room as well. And then they kind of play off each other. And so once you add psychedelics into the mix, it's even more profound. But yeah, we've been running sound baths every week, at least one a week since last July. And again, it really caught me off guard of how profound it can really be for people.
Yeah, I was exposed to them actually in what's that called, a new age shop, just the small ones, and then I had some gifted to me shortly after. And at first I was just using them, I'm gonna put my crystals in there and do it, or I'm gonna put it on the body of whoever I'm giving Reiki to and do that and help change that, the vibration inside, raise it up, these little things. But then in the group setting, it is it's so profound. It really does just bring all of the energies together in oneness and unity. It's really powerful stuff, and I'm happy to hear that it's all growing. For anybody that's on the show now, are they able to access that, or you? How would they do that?
So they're in person here in Oregon, in Eugene, and I've talked with some people about trying to stream them. But like you just mentioned, the energy of the room is so much a part of it. It's kind of hard to get that via video. But yeah, so our Instagram and website, GratefulShamanCompany.com, or Grateful Shaman Company on Instagram is a great way to. That's where I announce all the events and things like that. And our meetup page is right now our calendar, but working on making that more accessible as well. And I think same thing with ceremony. So when I do one-on-ones or ceremony, it's all based in sound, whether medicine or not. And I find that each person you add to the group, the healing grows exponentially as well. I was under the impression that one-on-one work would be more impactful for someone because it's one-on-one, you get that attention the whole time. When I started doing ceremony with 10 people, I realized each person helps the other person heal, and they don't even know it because it's the energy and the love and compassion or whatever they're putting off, and the experience that they're having is resonating with the rest of the room, and it's all unconscious or even unsaid.
Yeah, I almost see it as the body's vibrating with this frequency. You can't necessarily feel it, but you feel it. You don't see the vibrations, but it almost looks like you could if you wanted to, especially under the influence of some entheogens too, I'm sure. But the way that I visualize it anyway is the negative energy or anything, it's drifting off. It's removed from the body, so that's all that's left is the resonance of the original body, that soul body, and then that's what starts uniting with the others that are in the room or in the collective. It's really powerful.
Yeah.
I'm curious to know around the medicines, what got you into psychedelics or entheogens? I don't know how you prefer the term, but
yeah, sure, either one. I was practicing shamanism with just like friends or clients here and there on the side kind of thing, and I actually found randomly an ayahuasca ceremony, and I was like, and I've been I've been sober, fully sober for about 10 years at that point or so. And so I was kind of like, I don't know, is this like a drug or what? And so I did some research, and I was like just blown away by some of the results that I was finding people having on this. And I had suffered with depression and anxiety, and so I thought that it might be a solution. And so I found this ayahuasca ceremony, and my whole world opened up. Like, I didn't even have a psychedelic experience. Like, I just kind of laid there for 2 nights, like just thinking, and in a different way. And I saw my life in a different way. And I was expecting to see colors and like be transported into some other universe. And in 2 nights, I just kind of like, but something completely shifted and changed in me. And I, pursued multiple ayahuasca ceremonies after that, and then I was introduced to psilocybin and microdosing. And microdosing is when I started thinking like, all right, I think this is something that I want to offer to my clients. And so I was actually doing a personal like friend experience with one of my friends who I had been practicing shamanism on like over and over again, and to try to like hone my craft. We did mushrooms together, and it turned into like a one-on-one session where I actually had bought a sound bowl that day, my first ever sound bowl, just this little gold brass Tibetan bowl, and we would talk about seeing it. We would hit it, and we could see the ripples like in the air, the sound. And I just got this message like that this is what you're supposed to do now. And so I just jumped into it, and I started offering it to others, and exploring it a lot more myself, and exploring the root of how these medicines were used across cultures and historically. And like, for example, the Seri Indians in Mexico, they've been using toad venom for thousands of years. Like, we've only known about it since like the 80s, right? So, and other like the Jacqui have been using it a long time. And then you go over to Africa, in Gabon, you have the Iboga shamans. They've been using that for 10,000 years, And so I was thinking about that modality, and then our kind of pharmaceutical industry, and I was like, a no-brainer. This is much better. And so I started pursuing it, and here I am now.
Yeah, thank you so much. I want to keep talking about the medicines, but you just brought up another topic, which is Western medicine. What is your take on that? Because I know you're very much about the grassroots healing, about looking into these old ways of doing things. So what's your take on Western medicine, and where it's got into, or where it is now?
Yeah, and it's a good topic to talk about, with Oregon passing Measure 109, which is the legalization of medical psilocybin, right, for medical use, and it's being rolled out in the Western medical model. And my thoughts on the Western medical approach is that we've become so it's so profit driven. So let's look at the priorities of Western medical, right? The first one is profit. It has to be. We have pharmaceutical reps that are coming and incentivizing doctors to use their medications. We have non-medical professionals managing doctors, on their time spent with patients, right? What's the major complaint about going to the doctor? You feel like you can't even talk before they're like, all right, we're done. Here's your medicine.
Yep, 8 to 10 minutes.
8 to 10 minutes.
And that's time to write a prescription.
Right, and I remember seeing a psychiatrist, a younger person, and it would be 10 10 minutes, and they're just like, how are you feeling? Is it making you sick? Or you have side effects? Yeah, okay, we'll just add this or do this. Okay, bye. I didn't even know the doctor's name. I don't even think they knew my name if you asked them. And so after doing this work for a while, the traditional, ancient way, I realized, like, yeah, it's a 6-hour session, but man, if I do a one-on-one with you, we're spending 10, 20 hours together. I mean, I'm talking to you on the phone, we're talking about preparation, we're spending time during, we're spending time after. I need to intimately know you to help you. Like, how could I not? And so we've gotten to the point where, and here's what I see with psychedelics. So we have ketamine is a good example, psilocybin, etc. I see it all the time. Yeah, I'm doing my ketamine infusions, but I had depression relief for 2 weeks, but now it's gone. Or like, I'm taking these microdoses, it's not helping. Then my first question is always, well, what else are you doing? Because we've gotten so conditioned to think that we just need to take a pill that's going to make everything better, which I don't even understand why, because that's not even how like SSRIs have been working. Like, they don't work, right? Like they're great for
their side effect list is bigger than what you're probably going into the doctor for.
Right, and then like when we're having side effects, all right, let me just give you another one to deal with that side effect. That's so common, and I can't tell you how many times I talk to people that are on 4 or 5 or 6 different medications, or people that have been using SSRIs for 20 years and they don't work anymore. You know? I've
even heard like 40 years. I'm like, how are you still doing this? Right. It's about time you come in. Thank you. Like, but wow.
Right. And it's like, it's supposed to be a temporary like boost to your serotonin, like to help you get out of a depression, so then you can, continue with your life and not have to rely on them. But we've, the profit model is very favorable, and we incentivize people to do it that way. So yeah, I can talk for hours and hours about the Western model, medical model. And my thoughts on the way we're rolling out in Oregon is, hey, I look at the advisory board. How many shamans? How many medical? How many psilocybin practitioners? How many people that have actually been working with these medicines for years are on that board? I didn't find one. So
they were all booted out by Rockefeller, like back in the day. Anybody of color, any women, just gone. You had to be in a white lab coat and have that kind of training from the pharmaceutical industry. So
and so the first priority is profit, right? Yeah. What's the second priority? They say harm reduction, but really it's preventing getting sued, or liability. And so
and they have separate courts. For anybody who doesn't know, there are separate courts for that medical issues. That way it doesn't get televised.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, right. Like it's just all set up to facilitate the profit. And then psilocybin is gonna, you have a lot of people getting involved that were in cannabis. Venture capitalist firms that want to make billions of dollars off of psilocybin. And that's not good for me, the more you give access to these medicines to people, the better, right? But I think the profit-driven approach is missing so much.
Come back to the grassroots then, like growing the grass yourself, going in deep into the Amazon, finding the Sapo frog, or, the teachers that are there. Yeah, like the plants and fungi, they are teachers, but there are tons of teachers that have been there and been passing down this knowledge generation after generation too, that, and some of it's like through food, and some of it is through dance, or, there's tons of it available to us. I think with today's culture, so much is forgotten, so much is dismissed, so much is, frowned upon or demonized. But like, I don't know if you saw, but Fantastic Fungi is under the occult section on Netflix. Okay, it's not under food. It's not under health. It's under occult.
Oh, it's like telling our origin story, and it's under occult. Okay. Well, I just spent a few weeks with the Seri Indians in the Sonoran Desert, which was amazing. There's a lot of great people working with them and trying to help them down there, and they've been, like I said, working with the Bufalvarius toad medicine for a long time. What I noticed with them was especially the elders and even the kids, they just like, they have no problem just sitting still and talking and socializing and like living life. And so when I tell people like, hey, 15 minutes meditation a day, and they're like, oh, I can't do that. Like almost all of our human history, we could sit for hours and hours and hours without even noticing. And so now we've gotten to a point where we're so distracted that we can't even sit still for a few minutes. It's really no wonder that we have the rates of depression and anxiety that we do, right?
Yeah. Not to mention like the ADD and stuff that you see on Instagram where everything's so fast. Like,
Right.
But, yeah. So, James, we got about 5 minutes or so left on the clock here. And then, I want to know, I guess, from you, other than, how everybody can contact you. But, if I was to give you a dandelion right now to make a wish, what would that wish be? What would you want, in this field or for humanity?
I think it would be, sorry, puppy.
It's okay.
I think it would be having people educated about shamanism or understand or connected back to shamanism, because we all came from shamans. Like all came from shamanic communities. And if you look at, I forget his name, but there's a great book called The Depression Cure. And he looked at indigenous tribes and why there's such low rates of depression and cancer and all that stuff. And it was because of the factors of shamanic community. And so I saw recently a podcast say that they have a no shaman policy because they don't believe that people that call themselves shamans or that are shamans are like legit, right? You can't call yourself, if you call yourself a shaman, you're not, blah, 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 all that stuff. And this idea that shamans are only now born in indigenous tribes, and if you're born in New Jersey, you can't be a shaman. But what I have this theory that like people with mental illness, schizophrenics, bipolar, etc., are shamans and they just don't know it. They weren't born in a culture that could facilitate their gifts or their calling or their purpose. And so I wish that everybody would actually learn and try to understand about shamanism and the fact that it's the oldest belief system that we've had, and it's been the reason we've survived this long, and we've gotten so far away of it for such a short time. Looking at the roots of all religions come from shamanism as well, etc. So yeah, it would definitely be that, like, understanding of what shamanism is, and that it's not black magic, it's not a cult, it's not like dangerous. It's who we are, and that's based on community, and then meditation, and really just the spiritual nature of illness.
Yeah. Thank you for that. Terence McKenna, for anybody who's listening to this, if you just Google Terence McKenna and schizophrenia, shamanism and schizophrenia, I think if you look up those two things together with his name, there are speeches among speeches around this topic that were really influential, for people with mental illness in my own life, to just see like there's been a lot of oppression here, and it's good to do this research. So that's a good place to start for anybody, and then go on and go down your own rabbit holes afterwards.
Yeah. And Michael
James,
Harner, The Way of the Shaman, is like...
Yeah, you mentioned that book too.
Yeah, that's a really good place to start too.
And I'm going to link all of your information below, as well as your bio, for anybody in the description. But, maybe somebody's driving right now and they don't have the time to look. So again, if you just want to share your website or anything else.
Oh, cool. Thank you. Yeah. So Grateful Shaman Company is Instagram. You can find it on Instagram or Google it. You'll find our website, gratefulshamancompany.com. Based in Eugene here, doing retreat weekends, ceremonies every month. Trying to increase the frequency of that, trying to attract people from out of the state to come in. And then yeah, that's how you can find us. And then if you are in Eugene or you make your way to Eugene, there's all kinds of awesome community events going on here, sound baths, etc. And so yeah, if you're interested, we can. I also do like virtual sessions with Shamanic Journey and integration support, etc. And so yeah, Grateful Shaman Company. Google that, and then you'll find us.
Yeah. Thank you so much, James. It's such a pleasure. We'll have to do this again because I'm sure, like in all of these topics, we could talk a lot longer. So I really appreciate this and your time today, and seeing your puppy too. Like mine's passed out because we did a walk, but normally she's doing the same thing. So yeah, I totally get it.
I tried a lot of times, somehow we got it. So.
Yeah, it was so nice to see her though. Like the energy is amazing. So thank you, both of you, for your time today. We'll talk soon.
Okay, bye. Talk to you soon. Bye.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
When you think of the number of unique products developed in the fields, kitchens, and labs at Legacy 420, it's hard to think that one stands out above the rest. But tell that to the thousands of people who have tried this amazing breakthrough product.
This is our sacred salve. This is actually our extra strength. It comes in 5 different strengths. It's all natural, all organic. It typically works within 10 to 15 minutes of putting it on. It's good for arthritis, it's good for inflammation, any kind of pain. We're very proud of it.
Sacred salve, so easy to apply, along with soothing relief. To select a strength that's right for you, come in and talk to your trusted partner. Legacy 420 out on your road.
Did you know that the Pace Radio Network isn't just a radio network? That's right, because most, but not all of our programming is now done via video and is then podcasted at paceradio.net. So if you want to watch our programming, you'll find us on the Pace Radio Network's Facebook page, plus the show's own page, and you'll find us live on the network's YouTube channel. And don't forget, you can find it all, video and audio, at paceradio.net.
Pace Radio Network, by patients, for patients, and for those who want to know.
Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more. We've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
Are you a cannabis content creator? Are you looking for a place to have your content seen? If you answer yes to both questions, then you need to check out cbgtv.com.
Let's share Pace everywhere. That way it can help create peace. People everywhere advocating cannabis education. You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
I'm Ashley Michaud, your coach. It's all happening. Hello and welcome. Welcome to Elemental Growth, all you beautiful souls. I've got a wonderful friend here, Judy. I've been inspired by this woman for a long time. We met when we were both working with Jana, who's president of the Amazon rainforest. That's who we met through, and she's just amazing. And you know, what you were doing was still like working with the plants that are there, and not even the normal psychedelic ones that most people are, you know, talking about. You're talking about something like even more normalized that most people don't realize has these kind of properties, these ancient rituals and ceremonies around it. You really brought the spirit back into something that's being overused and misused, I think, today. And some of you have already heard that I'm going to be sharing something, a quick coffee challenge with you, and this comes from Judy. So if you're here listening to this and you're a coffee drinker, this is going to be helpful for you too. And for anybody who gets those 6 o'clock sugar cravings or chocolate cravings, like a lot of women do. I hear this a lot. So, this from experience, I know it helps, and I have mine here. And the more that I've been working with it, the more that I've realized that has actually stopped. And at first I felt like I couldn't even have it every day or something, or like it would be too much of a luxury. But then I'd go get some chocolate chips. So anyways, enough about me. Judy, I'm going to pass over to you so you can give yourself an introduction and just share your story, share how this medicine has impacted you.
Wow, Ashley, thank you so much. It is such a gift, such an honor to be here, to be here in your beautiful presence, and to be here with your beautiful community. And it's just, honestly, I'm just taking a moment to be so grateful, so thankful how we're all coming together now at the right time to just bring love to one another and to support each other with different medicines that we're all experiencing, right? There's so many different medicines in this world that are helping us to awaken, to come out of the forgetfulness state and into the remembering. And this story of cacao has been an enormous gift for me. It brings so much love, so much blossoming in my heart right now. Every time I have an opportunity to share how simple yet powerful and extraordinary this morning ritual can be for you, what it can do for you, it is such a gift to continue to share this with others. And my story really starts with my story of cacao starts with my brother-in-law heading to Peru a few years ago to experience ayahuasca, which, as I'm sure many of your listeners are very familiar with, ayahuasca. And he went out to stay with the beautiful Shipibo tribe out in Tarapoto, Peru, for 14 days, and did an incredible retreat and experience with several plant medicines there, and came back a completely changed person. He had so much anxiety, so much stress, so it wasn't sure, where in his childhood this came from, couldn't articulate what was happening with him his whole life, and came back with so much clarity, so much love. And I was like, wow, what happened to you? What is this? And that was my sort of first encounter with some of the plant medicines. And what really got me so excited was he had learned from the Shipibo and from everyone at the retreat, and there were cacao trees everywhere, about cacao and how cacao is also a plant medicine, and how it's here to open up our hearts, literally crack open our hearts and bring us into a state of delicious compassion and love, so that it can sprinkle into our awareness some of our stories, some of our beliefs, some of our limiting beliefs. And with our heart cracked open, we see that those stories and limiting beliefs are actually holding us back, and they're so limiting, and we're so lovingly able to just set it aside and experience something new. And so it was an incredible, when he told me all about cacao, it was an incredible, almost like a remembering within me, something which I could not explain, because I never really, I loved chocolate all of my life, but I also loved vanilla. So I wasn't one of these chocolate fanatics. So for me, it was like a real remembering of the ancient, our ancestors, our beautiful indigenous families, the sacredness that has always been held with this incredible plant medicine, which is also referred to as food of the gods and goddesses. And it just started in me a whole new journey. And it's been absolutely, it's such a beautiful way to start your morning, especially, which is what I had started to do. Even though there were ceremonies that I was starting to attend, I started to work with a beautiful shaman who also had experienced 7 years in the jungles of Peru with the Shipibo. So grateful, so honored to experience the cacao through the Shipibo, beautiful experiences and ceremonies. And in that experience, I started to hear from the cacao directly in one ear, talk to me, and then drink me every day and talk to me. And so I just started to do this. I looked online. I was like, is this even safe? How much can I do? I don't know. And I couldn't really find a lot of information a few years ago about drinking it every day. So I just started to go within. For me, it was, I really had this, before cacao, I used to feel that I wasn't intuitive. I used to feel that I had to, I would look at so many others in my life. I was in this beautiful spiritual journey, but I felt like I wasn't intuitive. And I would look at others and say, wow, look how she can check in with herself, or he can, quickly look in, check in. Is it a yes or a no? Or what's the next step? There's so much clarity. And I just felt like I was lost, that it wasn't intuitive. And so that was my number one when I heard from the cacao, talk to me every day, drink me every day. I started to speak that to the cacao and say, I don't know why this is. I feel like this is just part of my journey. Is this something that can open up in me? Is there any way I can become intuitive? And just starting to open up. And the journey began. The magic carpet ride began. And it's just such a beautiful experience.
Yeah, oh my gosh, there's so much in here to really dig into, but I do love this, you're speaking of the god and goddesses, food of the gods. We hear about this with mushrooms too, which is something I actually add into my cacao. I'm curious, what are some other additives here that you use, and how do you prepare, if you're gonna have it simple? And I know there's cacao paste and cacao powder and things like this. So what's the simple way to prepare? And then building off of that, what are some other additives that you can bring in for benefits?
I love that question, because when I was first starting, I was, and this is the number one question that I get now from everyone, similar to what I had, which was, oh my God, I don't want to do it wrong. This is such a sacred plant. What am I going to do? How do I make this? Is there things I shouldn't put in it? Is there things I should put in it? How, what is the process? And what I'm going to share with you is just really this beautiful experience that I've had, which again, because I had asked for intuition and this deeper connection, the cacao is helping me to stay in my heart and to go within your heart. So I'm going to ask you as well, even though I'm going to share with you how I started. I was starting to hear from the cacao, what's coming to you? What other medicines are coming to you right now that you might wish to include in the cacao? And so what I started with was, initially what I started with was the cacao tea, which is really the husk from the seed. So I know that this is probably an audio, but I'm sharing right now, because we also have a video, that there is a pod. The cacao grows as a pod on a tree. And within the pod is a fruit. So most people have no idea that chocolate is actually a fruit that comes from a fruit. It's the seed within the fruit. And so the cacao, which is the seed within the cacao fruit, when you grind it and add water, it turns into a paste. And so you can purchase this paste already, because it's quite, difficult to grind. You need special machines or special utensils for that. So you can buy the paste, or you can buy a powder which has the fat removed. Now, the little seeds have the husk around it. When you crack the seed, if you can imagine, the shell comes apart and inside is the cacao. Well, the shell and the husk we keep, because that is phenomenal as a cacao drink as well. That's also part of this beautiful cacao fruit, and that's actually what I have today, is the cacao tea with me. So you can actually infuse those shells and husk into water and bring your beautiful honoring, reverence, ceremony, conversation with the seed, with your tea, or you can do it with powder or paste. And what I usually say is about a tablespoon is perfect for a cup. About a tablespoon. So let's say you have paste, cacao paste, about a tablespoon. Mix it on the stove on very low. You want to keep it low, nice and slow, and you're mixing it and you're with the medicine, because this is a heart-opening medicine. It is a sacred, powerful, ancestral heart-opening medicine that you want to be with the whole time, because it's starting to work with you already as you're mixing slowly the top and looking at the surface. And even, if we had hours and hours, I would talk about even just the surface of the cacao. That was one of the biggest, most beautiful, impactful transformations for me, came from just looking at the surface. It's very hypnotic, and the messages that come through that are sort of subconscious, that some we're aware of and some we're not, but we start to expand so quickly when we bring honoring and reverence and presence, and when we speak to this spirit. These spirits, these plant medicines are waiting for us to talk to them. They're waiting. They're literally waiting there because we have free will. They're saying, I can't help you until you ask me. They're like waiting. Oh, she's almost ready to ask. Oh, you know, they're like, I feel like they're that giddy. They're that adorable. They're that fun because they're here to help us to realize we're here to have fun. We're here to be adorable and giddy. And sometimes we take things too seriously. And it's just such a beautiful journey of this medicine, which at first for me was very much, oh my God, this is like such a sacred medicine. Wow, okay, I'm going to bring so much honor and reverence. And as I start to drink and experience this, for me it was every day, every morning, I started to notice, and this is what will happen to you. This is why these medicines are here. They're here to show us, eventually, when we're ready, that we are the medicine. We are the medicine that's in your hand, that's around you. We are the medicine for ourselves, to heal each other. We are the cosmic consciousness. We are infinity. And when they just help us to remember, because that's our journey. It's experiencing this expansion in consciousness, right? And we can't go from like super, tight to being super expanded, because it would just be too much. We have to go in these layers and layers and layers to experience more and more to get to this remembering of how we truly are this cosmic consciousness. What does that even mean? How do we connect to that? How do we step into that? And so all of this is an unraveling, which happens, in my opinion, when I had this cacao medicine. It was like having a guru, like having a god that I could speak to every day. Imagine having, somebody, a guru who you love to listen to, a spiritual guru, and you love to listen to their stuff, and it just takes you into this amazing zone, and it's so deep and profound. Imagine having that every day in front of you, and you drink, and you get to honor it and be with it, and then close your eyes and sit with it, and just listen and feel and ask questions, and the answers will come. And for me, it wasn't something that happened overnight. It took a little bit of experiencing, because every time I drank, the cacao was here to support me more and more and more and more, and expanded more and more and expanded more and more. And suddenly I was starting to see this beautiful place that we live in, this place called Earth School, which happens to be the school that we're all in right now. Who knows what other schools are out there, but this is the Earth School, and that we are these magnificent expressions of God that have come to Earth School, agreeing to forget who we are, so that we can experience the joy of remembering, so that we can look around and see duality in everything and make decisions and choose where we wish to go, what we wish to do, and how we wish to express the love that we are, which we remember as we start to go within. It all happens from within. All the remembering happens from within. And so even though I love to read books, I love to watch videos, I love to be in groups, when I connected to this magical, magnificent plant medicine every single day, it was like, I call it the magic carpet ride. It just went on this incredible journey of taking me back up into the cosmos and remembering, who am I? Who is Judy? Who am I? Who are you? Why are you here? What are you here to do? Why is this craziness happening in the world right now? Where is my role in this? What is happening? Where is the world headed? Where is humanity going? What is happening with this incredible shift? Where are we all going? All these beautiful knowings and rememberings were coming to me because I was asking more and more of it, just like you can, just like everyone can. And that brings us into a place of feeling so incredibly safe and so loved and so enough in every moment, instead of being afraid of what we're seeing, these new things that are happening in the world, or new problems that are coming that people are expressing as problems. we see them as just this journey of evolution. And I love to just mention the word evolution is EVOL, which is love spelled backwards. Evolution, EVOL. And I truly believe that we are these cosmic beings, these expressions of God who come here agreeing to forget who we are, but we remember through this journey of evolution, which is experiencing love backwards, which is experiencing the pain, the suffering, the forgetfulness. We experience that first before we start to remember. And in that remembering, it is such a glorious, each moment of remembering, it's little glimpses which bring us more and more into this journey of serving one another. And it's just been such a gift and such a beautiful experience, especially because cacao, like you said, it's this plant medicine. It's the master plant medicine, yet it's not a psychedelic. And that's another beautiful thing that I love to talk about, because I feel like how wonderful it is. The world has already fallen madly in love with chocolate, and chocolate is just it's cacao, but it's been processed and usually many things added to it. Not in all cases. There are some chocolate companies that are called bean to bar, which only have 2 ingredients. Those are beautiful chocolate companies. And then we have other expressions where they have all these other things they add to the chocolate. But yet think about chocolate. It's the world's number one favorite food, and it's processed. Can you imagine the cacao in its pure raw form, and bringing honoring and sacredness to it, and speaking to the spirit and asking for more clarity, asking for your heart to open up so you can forgive, asking for more love? Can you imagine what that does? And so it's just, I feel like it's been such a beautiful journey, and such a beautiful plant that many of you, beautiful medicine that many of you who are craving something that maybe you can drink and then still go right to work or drive or do whatever you need to do. You don't have to be in a place where you have to be still. You could be dancing or moving or doing whatever it is that you need to do. I especially love the cacao in the morning before you start your day, because it brings us into this, because it opens your heart so much, works with the heart chakra, and brings us into a place of compassion and openness. The creativity is phenomenal. Imagine being in a space where you're outside of your box, because in your box, we're all in sort of our levels of awareness that we're living in, but this brings us outside of that. And now you're about to do work, and you're about to be in this outside of your level, your box, and outside, and you're able to experience and have access to, from within you, more of that creative realm. So it's just such a beautiful thing to experience every day.
Yeah. Oh my God, I could listen to you all day, honestly. I was getting so emotional there when you were talking about, it's experiencing love backwards, as part of the human condition. So much of what you talk about, anytime that we've connected resonates, right into my heart. So, I've always been grateful that, we've been connected and able to stay connected like that. And I encourage, anybody listening here who's listening to Judy and feeling it anywhere in your body, make sure you're reaching out. I do want to say another thing was, you were talking about the visual surface, and I've noticed when I'm working with it as well and doing the stirring, it's almost like tea leaf reading. There's messages on the surface that are coming through. This morning making this one, it was so clearly the harmony symbol, and I asked Tristan, I'm like, look at this, what do you see? And he's like, I see the crescent moon, but then there's a circle. I'm like, yes, it's harmony. I was like, okay, I'm not hallucinating here, this is real. And again, it was beautiful, and it is crescent moon actually that we've been experiencing. I just got back from powwow, so there's all these synchronicities. It really meant something to me, and it continues to. And this conversation today, some of the messages that you're sharing, a lot of it, being playful, talking to the spirits like they're playful. This is the message that I was getting all weekend from the elders, was just have the attitude of why not, have the attitude of play. Why are you taking life so seriously? Like, what happens? Like, well, I became a mom. Like, I feel like it's serious. But wow. It was a nice remembering. I needed it, and it just keeps getting reinforced. So yeah, I'm so grateful, and I really feel what it is that you're expressing here. Another thing that comes, oh yeah, you can speak if you'd like.
Oh no, go ahead. I'm just taking it all in. My heart is so full. It's so beautiful.
Yeah. I know this is personal, and it maybe doesn't need to, be expressed here, but I do want to share something too. It's like psychedelic, it has this meaning. I don't personally even relate to the term so much myself, because a lot of what I work with is entheogenic medicines, stuff that was used previously in ceremony, religious practice as sacraments. Psychedelic is a term that gets me a lot of hits on Instagram, so I use it, talking about psychedelic integration. It's a term that's used so widely. Something that allowed me to open up and use it was what my mentor Dr. Dan said, and that's that these are not only mind manifesting, which is what psychedelic actually truly means, is mind manifesting, but it's also soul manifesting. And in ancient times, mind and soul were considered to be the same thing, and so it opened me up in that way to these terms in a new way. And I'm not sure if I know you say it's non-psychedelic, but do you believe it's an entheogen?
It's so amazing how these terms, part of my journey with cacao has been in becoming very aware of certain words that I've used in the past that I suddenly maybe don't align with anymore. But then as I expand into a new place, I have a new meaning for it, and it's like, wow, it's like a different understanding. And anyway, yes, I believe that the cacao it's incredible. I love this question, and no one's ever asked this question, because the cacao is a very beautiful, gentle plant, yet it is so profound in the messages that can be received, whether it's conscious or unconscious, or in the moment, or when the cacao is still sort of in your body versus after. I feel that it's just a beautiful plant that when we acknowledge it, when we honor it, when we sit with it, when we're consistent, when we speak to it, and when we surrender and open, the messages continue, not just during your ritual, continue throughout. You can call on these medicines, especially, all of these beautiful plant medicines at any time to support you, even if you're not in your own ceremony. And yes, I do believe that the cacao is, they're here to open up our mind, our soul, to help us to unravel, to remember. Because what I love to talk about all the time is, our heart is this like tight, imagine, everyone knows what a peony flower looks like when it's tight, right? It's so tight, it's beautiful. Isn't it beautiful when it's tight too? And then when it starts to open up, it starts to like relax a little bit. It starts to open up, and then it starts to bloom, and the blooming is absolutely magnificent as well, and it's enormous. It's like, wow, did that happen? And I feel like our hearts are in this journey of getting ready to blossom into our full expression. And because we're sort of in this expression, we're all in different places, of course, in our journey, but many of us have sort of this tight bulb, because we're afraid, and we've been hurt, or we've believe we've been hurt, because we've created stories around why we think things happen to us, and we didn't quite realize, again, the evolution. Experiencing love backwards is a gift. So without realizing that, we create stories, and we create stories that we've been hurt and that we've been victimized by certain things, when the heart, cacao's helping us to open the heart to go, oh my God, that hurt, that biggest hurt, or that experience, or that anger that I have is actually part of my evolution. It's part of my forgiving and releasing and experiencing. And then it's like, oh my God. And you start to like have this beautiful blossoming that literally happens in your heart, and you feel it expanding. You feel your shoulders coming back. You feel your heart, your chest expanding. It's so absolutely beautiful. And it's something that can only really be experienced, as you know, Ashley, right? You experience more and more of it. And my wish is that you get excited to hear this, and to, if you're still listening to this, 20 minutes in or whatever we're doing, the cacao is calling to you. That's another beautiful message, is the cacao. These plant medicines are coming out of the jungle faster and faster and faster than ever before right now. Now is where we're transforming. We're going through the biggest shift in consciousness. Now is where these medicines are saying, I know it's hard. I know it's challenging. You keep getting taken out because of what's going on in the world. So we're here to help you. We're here to help you to stay in this space of remembering, to stay in the space of remembering who you are.
Grow like the plants themselves.
Yes. Exactly, growing and helping us. And so it's such a magnificent time. And that is why I know you mentioned at the beginning, Ashley, the coffee challenge that we created, because I found a lot of people were like, okay, I love this, I get this, but what do I do? And I'm nervous, and how do I make it? And then what do I do when I have my cup? And how do I talk to this? And what are you talking about? And so I created this beautiful challenge, which is free. And of course, Ashley's going to have the link for you. And it's basically 5 days. You're going to make your cacao. The first video you receive is how to make the cacao. I'm at the stove. I'm showing you how to make it. And you're going to make it. You can make it together at the stove. And then there's 5 days. You come to each of those videos with your cacao. And we share a little bit each day about the cacao, or a little story or journey, so you can understand and really feel more and more into this medicine. And then we drink together at the end of that short time that we have together, the recorded video. And we drink together so that you can start to experience 5 days of how can you look at the cacao, how can you sit with the cacao, how can you honor, how can you speak to it, how can you share something. Every day we stop for a couple of moments so you can, in your mind, in silence, and of course you can do it out loud if you like to, ask the cacao for something. And so you're going to have 5 days of experiencing this. So you're ready to go. In case you're not sure what to do, you're ready to go. You can continue your beautiful, magical journey, your magical carpet ride into this incredible experience of profound love and remembering.
Oh, thank you so much, Judy. It's a great challenge. I'm glad that I was invited. I'm also glad I gave up coffee, which is also in the Encyclopedia of Entheogens. Coffee's in there too, you guys. So this is another one that's been, taken out and overused and misused. And a lot of people are actually very much allergic to it, and definitely not using it in the quantities and the ways that it's intended. It took me a long time to figure out how sensitive I was to it, and it took me even longer to be able to move away from that and introduce other things. Cacao has called me for a long time, Judy, and I'd go for the cacao nibs and the cacao powders and the cacao paste, and I would have ceremonies on the new and full moon, and that way I could bring the kids into it and stuff, but this gave a whole other meaning, this practice, sitting with you a few weeks ago, you and Jana, it changed everything for me, and I've got a new routine now. So thank you.
Oh goodness.
I would love to just ask you one last question. That is, how can everybody reach you? I'll obviously leave your information in the description below, but in case anybody's driving while listening to this, then they can access you as well.
Beautiful. Thank you, my darling. Goddess Temple Cacao is the name that has come to me through the cacao, and that is the brand. So Instagram, Goddess Temple Cacao, website, goddesstemplecacao.com, and Facebook as well, Goddess Temple Cacao. I'd love to hear how you're doing, and I'm excited for you to get on this beautiful journey that we've created, the 5-day challenge. It's called Break Up with Coffee and Awaken with Cacao. What a beautiful name. And again, just one little thing, you don't have to go into this being nervous. You're going to have to break up with coffee if you're a big coffee drinker. All we're just asking is to be open to experiencing a new possibility. That's it. You might at the end decide you still want to have coffee, you might not. The whole idea of this is to experience ceremonial cacao, this magical, ancestral, incredible medicine that's been around for thousands of years, that was once really only available to certain shamans and conscious teachers. But because the shift is happening so fast and we're all expanding so quickly, we have this gift of having this in our awareness. And so it is my pleasure one day, hopefully, to see you again, to talk to you, reach out at any time. Ashley, thank you so much. I love you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you too, Judy. I'm going to actually text you after this because there's a couple other things I want to run by you. So.
Yes!
All right, we'll talk soon. Bye, love.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Hello and welcome, you beautiful souls. It's Ashley here from Elemental Growth, bringing another wonderful guest. This is our friend Jacqui, and Jacqui has been hosting retreats for many a years. I was really inspired to bring her on here because I knew that she would help inspire you guys, anyone who wants to host retreats in their future, anyone who's doing it now, to just be more open and aligned in that way. She's doing amazing work and collaborating with amazing people as well. So, you know, there's a lot here that she's going to share with us today. And without further ado, I'll pass you over to her right now.
Thanks so much, Ashley. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah, I'm Jacqui Ruiz. I am the founder of Embracing Your Light, where I am personally an emotional perception coach and integration specialist. I'm bringing on currently a team of integration specialists as well. And I'm so grateful that you mentioned the retreats. We're starting a retreat today, so it's exciting. It's a 5-day retreat. This one is a private retreat in Costa Rica. And I love deeply the private retreats. It's where we can, you know, individualize what the retreat is about for the person specifically, for what they want, what they're working through. And it's such a life-changing experience. And you know, you and I have talked many times about, not many times, but we've talked about the number of people in the industry as well as the people who are needed in this industry, because it's really growing at a rapid rate. And I'm excited that you introduced the retreat work, because I just opened up for retreat facilitator training. I have one that the very first one will start in August, and I'm so excited because the more people that we encourage and guide and grow to be the light workers of this particular type of work, the more people we make a difference for. So thank you so much. Thank you for the awesome introduction and for the opportunity to share and chat with you about this amazing work.
Thank you. Yeah, you touched on something really important too, that ripple effect. That, you know, that's one of the reasons why I even was inspired to do any of this, was just in helping in that one-on-one space, which really is my jam. I can't get away from it. Mm-hmm. It works so much better, that building that intimacy. And you know, just that one person then goes out and is helping another person, and then they help other people, and you really get to see the compound effect in effect. And you know, and it's what was that quote by Margaret Mead? Never underestimate the small group of individuals can change the world, because indeed it's the only thing that ever has.
No kidding, no kidding. I think about it in terms of like my own life. I have a number of family members. I have a very big family, and I have a number of family members that I would love to introduce psilocybin specifically to. And when I think about like, I want to just give it to everyone all at once. But really the approach that I've taken is, you know, Mom, will they support you? And when Mom decided to microdose, she opened up for the curiosity of everyone else. And so then my godson decided to microdose, and then my niece decided to microdose, and even my dad decided to microdose. And again, the ripple effect that you're talking about, reach one person, and then like it continues to ripple and grow and grow and grow. I love the one-on-one work. I do group work as well, but I prefer one-on-one because we really get to give the individual the attention that is specific to them. I don't think that any one of us is we're similar and we can relate and we have common behaviors and beliefs and experiences, but we are so incredibly unique that reaching one-on-one interactions it's just so beautiful. It gives us the opportunity to customize this work And I think that's so incredibly important.
Yeah, especially because so much of education and the system in place by the dominators today, I think, are all about one size fits all. You look at the medical system today. I work with medical practitioners, both in collaboration for helping people, but sometimes I'm also working with them because they're having a hard time relating to that old system, and yet they're also dependent on it, whether financially or through some sort of medication. And once they break through and see, want to embrace their own authenticity, and and are able to talk about the things that set them apart, no matter how crazy or silly or small these details have been made out to be. Then they end up becoming the ones who go out and privately on their own, and they're much happier and than they were otherwise, also healthier, and also earning an independent income. I'm curious, when it comes to the kind of retreat work, integration work, also that you're doing, where do you see your clients get the most benefits from, retreat through the integration? Is there some common trends that you're seeing show up in your work right now?
I think that the common trend is that we all, even as humans, and I see this in the retreats and even in life in general, is that we are all, as humans, we are all seeking to be seen, to feel heard, and to have a sense of belonging. And for me, I think those are the basic necessities of life, similar to water, oxygen, right? There are emotional needs, and when one or even three of those are missing, we disconnect, we lose touch, and the result from that is a deep and despairing emotional and mental challenge. That's, I think, strongly where depression comes from. It's where anxiety and loneliness and even desperation grows from. And so when we, in our retreats, when we focus on an individual, because we're the one-on-one work, we can see where one of those elements is missing, or one of those elements is feeling a little bit not paid attention to, mixed in some way. And when we can fulfill that and make the connection to how to move into that type of connection, life changes tremendously.
I love that too, finding those elements are out of place. No health condition, mental health or physical health is, a lack of medication. It's lack of something inside of ourselves. Dr. Mark Hyman said something that was comedic but also kind of profound to me, which is that he works with people with a whole list of clients, and that's why he takes a holistic approach. And it sounds like that this is the kind of thing that people can expect from you going to these retreats.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're all individual, and yet we're all the same in the sense of what our emotional human needs are.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And do you find that the people that you're working with, they know already what's wrong with their life or what they want to change in their life? Or, are they coming to you more that they don't know? They're coming from a place of questioning.
Sure, such a great question. I think that we all know. I think intuitively we all know what we'd like to change, what we'd like to rearrange. I like to think of it less of what's wrong, but where can I grow from? How we are, where we are, in whatever it is we're experiencing is meant for something. And when we can make the connection to what it is meant for, where this came from for me, and how do I bring myself some relief or even some inner peace around it? I think that every one of us knows, and I support them with a series of questions beforehand to to help them create clarity about it, because a common answer is, I don't even know what I want out of this. But when the series of questions is explored, it becomes very clear that I've always known this about me, and now I have a clear understanding about what it is that I'm seeking out of this.
Yeah, and then following that, it's almost like getting the confidence to speak about it. You know, how are you guiding your, the people that you're working with in that way?
My approach is all about asking questions. I am loaded with questions. And one question will lead to another and another and another. And when I ask the questions, it really helps an individual to explore, reflect, and come up with their own answers, with then eventually answering and creating clarity and connection. Constant aha moments. I didn't know this about me, but yet I knew this about me. And so my process is all about asking questions. And it builds the trust and it builds the confidence.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I can so see how all of that would be helpful. Do you ever do it through journaling prompts and things like that too, the introspection work?
I have a membership program where once a week I send a journal prompt, and it usually ignites a world of conversation. Just, whoa, I didn't know, again, it's like the I don't know, and I think that the answer is less that I don't know, but more that I've never given myself the opportunity to explore this question.
Yeah, and we do have the time. Like, we all have long lives ahead of us, and for some reason, it's always like, oh, it's not time for that yet, or like, we'll prioritize that later. Why? Why, if it's going to help in the long term, but it's all choices.
It is. It's all choices. And to answer your question, why, my personal opinion is that it's because we avoid getting real with ourselves, because getting real with ourselves becomes very complicated, and it means we've got to explore the truth, and sometimes the truth is hard to see. And sometimes really knowing where I'm at and what I want and what I'm not getting it can be quite difficult, quite challenging, and sometimes even painful, and it just becomes easier to avoid. So then I busy myself up with things, and then I continue to contribute and tell myself I'm busy. And really what I'm busy is, and don't get me wrong, like, yes, people are busy, and this is a very hustling time in our world. Lots of people are just go. But even that, and it prevents us from connecting with ourselves in that way. And I think, truthfully, it's a fear of intimacy. It's a fear of getting to know me in such a way that I share myself deeply with others. And gosh, our world is desperately in need of that. Desperately in need of deep, intimate connection. And if we can't do that with ourselves, of course we're not doing that with others then.
Yeah, it's such a powerful word too, and I feel that in my own personal life and experience, I use it when talking about relationships with others, but it brought even more power in just hearing about it being intimate with yourself. How scary it is to be vulnerable with somebody else. But if you have to be vulnerable with yourself and face that stuff, it's like, it's a whole new level. That is self-mastery. And with that kind of stuff, there is also rewards in it. And you almost start seeing them immediately. It creates shifts. Auto-suggestion, saying how or why and all this, that becomes auto-suggestion just as much as doing this work and figuring out yourself, and then having that switch, that change, that growth, that comes through the transformation. Information is only power if you use it. Otherwise that shelf help, or it turns into shelf help.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, that was a nice book to read.
Yeah.
Exactly. Oh, that was a wonderful experience. Exactly. And when you're talking about like what I talked about earlier, the questions, I like exploring questions and getting intimate with yourself. I use questions. 2 questions I used yesterday in a course that I offer was, in what ways are you fighting for your right to maintain the behaviors that don't serve you? Because we all defend when we're not doing something that supports the direction of where we're going from time to time. And then the other is, in what ways are you denying yourself from being loved? Because we can say to others, I'm busy, and to people that are genuinely just wanting to love us. And those types of questions are the questions that I use in this approach with this work. And it's offering an opportunity to get intimate with yourself.
Man, you're opening me up now. I got some work to do on that second one. I'm like, I got a 6-year-old, a 6-month-old puppy, and a partner. And I'm like, I push all their love aside consistently. Yeah. Like, I'm grateful for it, and I do enjoy times, and I get really present. But there's also times when I'm focused on other things, and I'm like, dude, just like space, or and what I'm really denying is love. Yeah. What advice you got from me, Jack?
Well, and I want to say that as you explore that and you feel that, do it in such a way that you don't make yourself wrong for it, but you, again, inform yourself. This is information that empowers me. Now that I'm recognizing this, what can I do about it? Or what do I want to do about it even?
I know what I want to do about it is, finish up so I can be present in that time with them without thinking about it. Maybe there's other things. Yeah, obviously my mind's going crazy now with the other options that I can do, time blocking in different blocks and different things. So, with the courses that you've got coming up, can you tell us a little bit more about that? What you've got going on now, what's coming in the future?
Yeah, so currently I have been doing a micro-method course. It's using psilocybin, and it's an 8-week course, and it combines the use of psilocybin along with emotional perception work. There are plenty of people in the world who are exploring psilocybin, who are exploring microdosing across the board, not specifically with psilocybin, but across the board exploring microdosing. And if we're not, there's magic in microdosing, right? And it can certainly make a difference and help us adjust and create clarity, many, many things. However, if we're not doing our own work to break the habit, to get clear on what we want, to find ways to remove the blocks that we've created for ourselves to reach what we want, then similarly to what we just talked about, it becomes, oh, that was a nice experience.
Listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
The opinions of the individuals during this broadcast are their own and may not be the opinions of their group or other organizations they may be involved with. All medical advice during our broadcast is not a medical opinion and should be checked with your medical physician.
When you have a pain that's reached its peak, Legacy for 20 is so unique. If organic cannabis is what you seek, here's your trusted partner 7 days a week. Suppository salves, vapes and drops, topicals, edibles, infused pop. Just when life seems like it ain't easy, at Legacy 420 enjoy a pop freezy. Lab tested products make them the GOAT. Legacy 420 out on your road. Legacy 420 in Tyendinaga Mohawk territory. Indigenous organic cannabis at its finest.
What do you find at paceradio.net? People advocating cannabis education.
Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more, we've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
Are you a cannabis content creator? Are you looking for a place to have your content seen? If you answer yes to both questions, then you need to check out cbgtv.com. CBGTV, broadcasting to a worldwide audience. Find us at cbgtv.com.
We are people advocating cannabis education.